Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night of the local time. And basically during the previous night there were a lot of updates, so let's start. The United States and the Western countries continue reconnaissance operation in the Black Sea, trying to track the situation, to follow the Russian positions, the redeployment of Russian military forces in Crimea, in South Kherson, and the situation in Odessa area. The Russians during the previous night made massive drone attack against the Ukrainian settlements, port settlements like Reni and Ismail that were located on the Danube River. For example, we got at least 2 videos of explosions in Reni. For example, there were drone strikes, Heran 3 as I know. As you can see in this video, the Ukrainians were trying to shut down the drones using the air defense forces, machine guns, and but those attempts were failed, and the Russians made successful attack. And according to the video, we see that the Russians were attacking the southern part of that settlement, and basically the Russians were attacking the fuel depot that was located in the settlement. So the explosion took place in this area. As you can see, something like facilities, fuel facilities in the southern part of that settlement. Also, we got the view of explosion from another point, from another angle of view. Basically, the Russians was trying to destroy the fuel depots, ammo depots that were located in that settlement. But this is a very interesting situation because, as we know, there is a trade blockade in the Black Sea, and nobody is allowed to bypass the trade blockade and enter the settlements. Basically, maybe the Ukrainians found a solution how to send fuel to this area by other way. Furthermore, today we got another update that one ship, since the beginning of the trade blockade, there is one ship, or there was one ship that started its movement today, and we got this update at 1 a.m. and this is the first ship after the establishing of the trade blockade that left Ukrainian ports with the grain on board. And after we got this piece of news, a lot of sources started saying that there is no real trade blockade, that anybody can use this road for sending more grain on the Black Sea. But later the Russian sources published another video. This is some kind of permission that was received by the Russian authorities on this. This is the permission, this request for permission from China. The Chinese authorities were asking the Russian authorities to allow the ship to leave the Odessa port and go in direction of Hong Kong. So basically that was like a real deal between Russia, China and Ukraine, and based on that agreement the Russians allowed the ship to leave the port because there was some kind of responsibilities of China's side, and I believe that there are no ammo or something like this on board of that ship. Now we're moving to Kherson direction, and today we got a lot of very interesting updates, and probably the most important are coming from the Kazachий Lager area. According to information we have, at least according to the military Russian expert Ryber, the Russians managed to counterattack in this area and to clear their bank of the river and to force the Ukrainians to leave this territory. So basically, as a result of clashes that took place from 12th of August till 15th of August, the Russians managed to suppress the Ukrainian artillery forces. We discussed those situations yesterday, that the Russians started attacking the Ukrainian artillery system on their bank of the river, and today they managed to clear the entire territory. So basically, according to information we have, this territory was cleared and completely controlled by the Russian forces. Currently the Russians, we will update the map before the next video. Also, when talking about Kherson area, we got another very interesting update from this bridgehead that took place yesterday, but we didn't involve that update in the yesterday evening. The United States, the Ukrainians published a very interesting video how they managed to discover the Russian S-300 system in the South Kherson area, and after that they shown at least 3 launching systems, 2 or 3, and also there was like a truck with fuel. So lots of equipment, the entire air defense division that was discovered by the Ukrainians, and after that air defense division was attacked by the HIMARS, and as a result of that attack the entire region lost its air defense system. Now we were gonna see the strikes. As you can see, a lot of strikes, at least 2 or 3. Maybe the Russians were trying to shut down the HIMARS missiles, but as you can see they failed that attempt and the entire system was destroyed. And that was something like respond to the Russian update that they managed to destroy the Ukrainian air defense system in the vicinity of Nikolaev. So basically 1-1. So currently the situation is like 50-50. Nobody won this battle. And now we're moving further, and we're going to talk about Zaporozhye area and mainly about Kherson, Orekhov direction. From this area we got a very interesting video that Ukrainians, since the beginning of the greatest counter-offensive operation, used for the first time the British tank Challenger, which also has like a nuclear polluted munition for its purposes, for the purpose of the tank. I'm not sure whether the Ukrainians started using this type of rounds or not, but anyway, we see that the type of weapon that can use the nuclear polluted rounds is already on the battlefield. When talking about today, we start receiving updates that Ukrainians restarted their offensive operation in Orekhov in Barbotina area, but yet we haven't received any like video or photo confirmations of the results of those attacks. When talking about Urozhaine, today the front line has been stabilized. The Ukrainians continue their clearing operation in the central part. The Russians controls the Zavitno Bazhanye and try to control the southern part of Urozhaine, at least with the fire control, establishing fire control. And the Russians published the video of the results of battle of Urozhaine, and not Urozhaine but Staromayorsk. On this video we see that according to the author of this video, the Russians managed to calculate around 25 pieces of armored vehicles that were destroyed during the battle of the settlement, and most of them are located on the northern edge of the settlement. The Ukrainians were trying to sending a lot of waves in direction of the settlement. Furthermore, don't forget that a lot of armored vehicles damaged were evacuated, so as I understand, the number of forces that were destroyed during the battle of Staromayorsk is around more than 30 or around 40 armored vehicles. Furthermore, the Russians published the video how they're trying to bomb, and they're bombing the settlement, trying to pin down the Ukrainian reserves and not to allow them to develop their positions in the city. The Russians are using all types of weapons they have, flamethrower systems, guided bombs, and so on, with one purpose: just to slow down the Ukrainians, not to allow them to regroup their forces before the next attempts to attack in direction of Zavitno Bazhanye and basically the next defense belt in this area. Now we are moving to Donetsk area, to Marinka area today. This is my favorite front line, and today we got a lot of updates from this bridgehead. The first one is that the Russians continue storming operation in direction of the Novomikhailivka from the south. A few days ago there was a video how the Russian tank was attacking the stronghold in this area, and if we will increase the number of updates, we're gonna see that on this video, for example, we can see how the Russians were attacking the stronghold. This area is almost reduced to ruins. This event took place a week ago, and today the Russians published the video how they were started hunting the Ukrainian forces in this area using drones, and they were bombing the Ukrainians who were trying to hide in this area. So basically the final stage of the storming of the stronghold has started. The Russians first destroyed this area with tanks, and after that now they're trying to clear with drones, and after that I expect offensive operation from the Russian side, which will allow them to get as close as possible to the main supply roads that go to Novomikhailivka. Another interesting update is coming from Krasnogorovka. In this area, the Russians are trying to attack the Ukrainian positions in the eastern stronghold in this area, and also we see the final stage of the clearing of this area. If we will increase the number of days from this bridgehead, we're gonna see at first the Russians were bombing this area with artillery. We see this event took place a week ago or something like this. Later, the Russians published the video how they were attacking the Ukrainian positions inside of the stronghold itself. After that, the Russians made few attempts to attack in this area, but the Russian tanks who were heading along this road was destroyed by the Ukrainian forces, with anti-tank missiles from this direction, which of course that situation allowed the Russians to discover another stronghold of the Ukrainians on the east of the main stronghold in these brushes. And today the Russians published the video how they started clearing these brushes, clearing this territory. As a result of those attacks, the Ukrainian trenches, Ukrainian strongholds with the Ukrainians inside of those trenches were destroyed. And basically, as I understand, the Russians have completed the clearing operation for the tanks, for Armored Fist, and also within the next few days, I expect another attack of the Russian forces in this direction with the purpose to capture this small bridgehead and to establish fire control and visible control over the Krasnogorovka from the east. Currently, there is already one on the south, and now there are purpose to establish the same one on the east. So Battle of Krasnogorovka is about to, the main clashes, the main part of the Battle of Krasnogorovka is about to start. And now we're moving to Bakhmut-Klishchiivka. We haven't received almost nothing from this bridgehead, just the video how the Russians managed to discover and to destroy another Bradley in the vicinity of Klishchiivka. Probably this event took place also those days, like today, yesterday, or probably even this night. As you can see on the video, the Ukrainians were trying to make some rotation, probably got some reinforcements, which were discovered by the Russians and destroyed as a result of artillery fire. And the most interesting also updates are coming from the Kupiansk front line. The Russians reported that as a result of fierce fightings at 9 p.m. of the local time of the, let's say, of the 15th of August, the update that we haven't included in the previous update for the military summary, the Ukrainians took a decision to leave Sinkovka completely. So the Ukrainians or left Sinkovka and controlled just the southern forest, this one, or the Ukrainians have already left entire Sinkovka and currently located in Petropavlovka. I expect and I assume that Ukrainians haven't left the north, haven't left the southern part, and basically currently the situation, the combat line goes something like this. At least not the combat line, but in the Ukrainian positions, and the Russians currently storming this area and try to clear Sinkovka from the northeast of this area. And that's it for this short video. Military Summary channel reminds to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.